Hey guys, I'm Tom the Tech Chap, and this is, well, probably the world's fastest unboxing. USB-C cable and the phone. No charger again, but we kind of expected that, even though one of the features of this is that we have this new 45-watt fast charging, but you have to spend, well, like 45 quid to actually buy it. So a bit stingy perhaps, saves the environment, but then not if you have to buy a separate charger and they have to ship it as well. Anyway, this is the S22 Ultra, and I want to share with you some of my first thoughts, perhaps call it like a first review. I've done a few benchmarks, run a few tests, but I do actually want to say hats off to Samsung, because for the first time in ever, as far as I can recall, they haven't set a separate review embargo, which normally is a couple of weeks after our hands-ons, which is not ideal if you're thinking about pre-ordering it and actually want to know if it's any good. This time, I can say whatever the heck I want, and it also means I can compare it to other phones as well. So thank you, Samsung, for making that change. So let's jump straight into this. And the very first thing you need to know about the S22 Ultra is that it can stand up by itself. If we bring in the S21 Ultra, and let's switch to my little second cam here, you can see, yeah, not ideal. So obviously the reason for that is we've lost that big camera housing. Now we just have these sort of 5 sticky outy lenses on the back. Very, very similar design. I've got both of them here in Phantom Black. Same texture, same color. Although interestingly, we do have that new Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on the front and back of the, I was gonna say Note 22, the S22 Ultra compared to just standard Victus. And also actually we have this new aluminium armor frame around the phone. Previously that was only on the Fold 3. So a bit of a sort of material improvement. I do kind of wish that I'd been given the burgundy one. I had my eye on that since the hands-on, but alas, no. Now I know I keep banging on about this, but I don't know why they didn't call it the Note 22 Ultra. I mean, this is the Note 20 Ultra, and it is very much in the same family. S Pen, slightly uncomfortable, squared off corners. I don't know why they need to make these corners so sharp. Obviously you have this sort of symmetrical, nice thin bezel. We've got this sort of boxy design, but the S21 Ultra, the S series generally, is just a lot more comfortable to hold. It sits in your hand, it doesn't stab into your palm as much. Not the end of the world, and if you have a case on it again, that will soften it, but it will also make it feel bigger. Because in fact, we do have pretty much the same 6.8-inch screen between these two. They're also both 8.9mm thick, but the S22 Ultra is a couple of millimeters wider, and it does feel quite a bit bigger in the hand. The S21 Ultra is already a big phone. This kind of takes it to the next level with the design. I'll tell you what though, it is really nice having this S Pen back. We haven't had this inbuilt into a phone in 2 years since this guy, the Note 20 Ultra, and I kind of miss it. I'm a little nostalgic for it. Obviously the S21 Ultra supported it, but you had to have a separate carry case and no one wanted to do that. But with this, it's back to, well, using an old friend. I mean, functionally, there isn't really anything new here, just a few extra languages for the handwriting to text. But most importantly, the response time has been reduced to 2.8 milliseconds, down from 9 milliseconds, even on the S Pen last year. So if you are a bit of an artist like myself, then you will probably appreciate that little extra instantaneous input. As I said in my hands-on though, I think the most impressive part is the fact that they physically fit this S Pen into the phone while also cramming in a 5,000 mAh battery. That is very impressive. It's the same size battery as the S21 Ultra, which of course doesn't have an S Pen inside. You can also just about see there aren't really any mucky fingerprints or smudges. As I sort of press my fingers into that, it doesn't pick it up, which is really good to see. I'm a little bit concerned that these lenses will get scratched easily though. There isn't really much protecting them, so they're the first thing that will be damaged when you place it down. So we'll have to see in the sort of long term how these stand up. But you'll also notice there is a slight curve to the screen. I don't think it's enough to upset any of you guys who hate a curved screen in terms of, old-fashioned palm rejection, but it just sort of adds a little bit to the premium aesthetic. It is a big phone though, so be prepared to use it two-handed or, do a bit of finger gymnastics like that. But let's talk about this screen, because obviously it's huge and it's beautiful, and it is the same Quad HD resolution. Let me jump into the display settings here. In the motion smoothness, it is 120 Hz, adaptive, and if we go to the screen resolution, Full HD+, WQHD+. I do kind of wish there was like an automatic mode or an adaptive mode, so I didn't have to pick between battery life and sharpness all the time, and perhaps that could do it automatically. Going into power saving does obviously drop the resolution automatically anyway, but would be kind of nice. Now, being the massive nerd that I am, one of my first questions when I got this was how fast is it. In fact, on my train ride home, I started running benchmarks. I've repeated them since I've got back. The difference is kind of interesting. Obviously, with this UK variant, we have the Exynos 2200. In the US and a few other countries, they have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. Firstly, though, I want to compare the S21 Ultra with its Exynos 2100 versus the S22 Ultra with the Exynos 2200. How much faster is this new phone versus last year's phone? Exynos versus Exynos. So for your viewing pleasure, I took a few screenshots of my results, and here they are. S21 Ultra on the left, S22 Ultra on the right. And in Geekbench, we're looking at about a 7 to 8% jump in performance on average. But let's then jump over to Antutu, which I think is actually a better benchmark than Geekbench. No one likes Geekbench anymore. And that is a significant step up, actually. We're looking at a whopping 23% boost on the S22 Ultra. Also, if we look down here, you can see that the S22 actually only went up by 6 degrees during the test versus nearly 8 degrees on the S21 Ultra with the Exynos 2100. So it appears to be faster, and also it doesn't get as hot over the length of this particular benchmark. So last but not least, I jumped into a bit of the 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme benchmark. And look at that. It's not quite as significant as Antutu, but it's still an average 14% jump over last year. Not too shabby. 13.4 versus 11.6 FPS. Although, I know what you're thinking, that's great, Tom, it's a little bit faster. It's all about the throttling. Well, I then ran the Wildlife Extreme stress test over 20 minutes, which I appreciate still isn't like a 3-hour gaming session, but this is a first review, bear with me. Again, the same sort of scores in terms of the best loop there. Stability, much higher though. Well, look at that, 72% versus 60%. But then if I put these right in front of the camera, look at those graphs. On the 10th loop of the S21 Ultra, we have that big slowdown, that throttling. Whereas on the S22 Ultra, yes, we have that slight initial decline, but it sort of trails off quite evenly. There's no significant drop in frame rates. This is what you want, and it would be a lot less noticeable if you're gaming and you slowly lose a few FPS rather than sort of dropping a bunch. So this is good news. It is faster, particularly the GPU, around 15 to 20%, and it doesn't get as hot as quickly, and it doesn't throttle as severely as the Exynos 2100. Now, obviously, the next question is, how does this compare to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 version in the different regions? I think I do need to get a proper Snapdragon model here with me to test, and if you would like to see that, then, well, hopefully give me a like and subscribe, but also let me know below, because of course we also want to see how it performs with battery life and the camera performance. But first impressions, well, it is a little bit faster, particularly the GPU. Not something you'd probably notice every day, particularly coming from last year's phone, but you know, most people don't really upgrade year on year. Coming from, say, a Note 20 Ultra with the Exynos 990, I believe, then yeah, this is going to be a big step up. One problem I have come across though, because this is a brand new phone and a brand new chip, if I jump into the graphics settings, you can have any graphics quality you like as long as it's low, which is not ideal. I have no doubt this will be fixed with an update to the game, but it does show that maybe there are other advantages to the Snapdragon version, like driver support. I know in some games like PUBG, you have different frame rates depending on the chip as well. In terms of battery life though, between these two, the S21 Ultra and the S22 Ultra, at least at this point it's proving to be pretty much the same, very similar. Still very impressive, not as good as the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is still the king in terms of battery life, but this will not be far behind, and I will be doing a full battery test video as well with all the latest flagship phones. Again, if you'd like to see that, do let me know below, because those things are very boring to make, but hopefully they are quite useful. Okay, let's talk about this camera. And here is a little side-by-side with the S21, S22, and the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now this is shot in portrait mode. You can see there is a more intense blur or bokeh on the iPhone, but you can adjust that on the Galaxy phones as well. And I think overall, while the iPhone clearly has its own aesthetic going on, which is kind of more pleasing, although I'd say possibly less realistic, you can see the S22 is a big step up from the S21. Now, same deal here, still a portrait shot, but now in low light. And again, I'm kind of surprised how big of an upgrade this is. There is so much more detail and texture on my jumbo, particularly in my face, on the S22 over last year's phone. Now, still using the rear cameras, but holy moly, the Exynos S21 Ultra is not doing well. I even took a few photos to make sure this was correct, I hadn't done something wrong. The S22 does give the iPhone 13 Pro Max a good run for its money here, and it also has the widest field of view with the main lens, so you can get a bit more in the frame. I would say the iPhone has a slightly more natural, true-to-life color here, but in terms of detail, it's kind of neck and neck with the S22. And also, it is harder to tell the difference between the three phones when you have good light. But look at this, 10 times zoom, and it is no competition. In fact, I made 3 attempts with the S21 Ultra here, and while it is low light, so it's a little bit, tricky for the phones, came out blurry every time, unlike the S22 Ultra, which is much sharper, and from my own experience at least, has much better stabilization at this 10 times zoom. Now here is Sylvie the cat hard at work. Although the iPhone does seem to introduce that bokeh a little bit sooner, it sort of starts to blur towards her back and the fur is less detailed, whereas on the Galaxy phones, all of the cat seems to be nicely in focus. Although the iPhone is the brightest and arguably the most pleasing shot. And lastly, just a quick little tour around my studio in some different lighting conditions, with all 3 phones shooting at 4K 30. What do you reckon? Let me know in the comments below which phone you think came out on top. I would bet it is not the S21, but also let me know what phones you'd like me to test in my upcoming S22 camera comparisons. From what I'm seeing so far, we are getting a significant jump in camera performance. A couple of things though, 8K still limited to 24 FPS. I don't know why, with all this extra power, we don't have an 8K 30 option yet. And also, one of the big improvements, according to Samsung, is the sort of low light capability and the stabilization. And while it does seem to be doing a decent job, it still seems to be quite juddery. You can really feel that shake, although I do appreciate this is quite tricky conditions. But then in other situations, like here on the Underground, this is exactly why I don't miss living in London, but the video quality here is actually really good. And one of the new features with the S22 is that the frame rate will automatically adjust to maintain quality and help keep noise to a minimum. Now I do appreciate I've only had a short time with this so far, but at this point, it's probably my new favorite phone. I do need to do more testing, of course, and I am currently an iPhone 13 Pro Max user, so we'll have to see where my main SIM card goes. But in terms of an overall package of a phone, flagship specs, big 5,000 mAh battery, great camera setup with an insane zoom, and also, of course, the S Pen. But what do you reckon so far? Are you tempted to upgrade? And actually, if you do fancy buying this or ordering one yourself, I will leave links in the description below, where you can also get some Samsung credit off, which is always very nice. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.